right. So I just got a text message from Big Tigger, and he'll be with us in about 3 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and give some background to this brother. I've known Big Tigger for some years, but I've known of Big Tigger for decades. He has to be one of the most talented guys we've seen in a long time in an industry where your shelf life is about 3 years, 5 years at max. Big Tigger has remained relevant throughout all of the generations. He's currently the morning show host on V103 FM, the Morning Culture with Big Tigger. And he's been holding that down now, really just for a few days. He recently received that assignment. Also, Big Tigger is a noted television personality. He hosts award shows. He's been one of our favorites when we were watching BET when I was growing up. And I mean, this guy's amazing, but he also has a very amazing work ethic. So when you look at him being a radio personality, that's every day. The things he does in the community constantly. He's also the DJ for the Hawks. He does philanthropy work all over the country and a whole lot more. In his beginnings, he actually started out as a rap artist. He was a rapper, and he's been featured on major collaborations with major artists. We'll get into some of that as well. But in order to have this kind of longevity, in the industry, you have to know what you're doing, and you have to understand the art of negotiation, business principles, the necessity of work ethic, and knowing how to stay out of trouble, because sometimes you can have all of those elements, but not make it work because of trouble. And he's been able to avoid that. And he was born to a Jamaican immigrant mother. We're going to talk about his upbringing and how that informed his leadership style and who he is today. And so we're waiting on Big Tigger. He should be with me in just a few minutes. As I said earlier, as soon as we finish the Q&A, I open it up to the audience to give you an opportunity to ask your question. Maybe you have a comment or question about something that you've already heard. And naturally, we're talking a lot about his career in the hip hop arena. But that has a lot of appeal right now, obviously, in the social justice arena. And Big Tigger naturally has been a part of that movement as well. All right, so Big Tigger just came in. Big Tig, how you doing, bro?
What up, sir?
What time do you wake up in the morning?
4:30.
4:30.
4:30.
Man, I appreciate you being here with us. This is a very informal conversation, man. And in this conversation, we learn more about who you are. We learn what you identify with as a man, what you identify with as a personality.
Okay.
And we go to a Q&A. So we'll do this for about 20 or 30 minutes, and then we'll open it up to the audience. We have students here, we have professionals, we have a lot of people here, and they all know you, man. We have watched your life, and the amazing thing is you have been able to basically recreate who you are in every generation. And you're one of the few individuals I know who you're as well known to the upcoming generation as you are to my generation. That's unheard of. So we want to know how you figured that out. All right. Let's talk about your upbringing first, man. You were born to a Jamaican immigrant mother and African-American father. You grew up in Co-op City. Let's talk about that.
First, I started growing up. They separated before I could remember. Lived with my mom early until about age 12. And then much like the movie Boys in the Hood, went to stay with my dad. He was in charge of making me a man, if you will. So I went to stay with my dad, grew up in the Bronx, New York. I could see later on in life why my parents weren't together. Opposites may attract, but they rarely stay together for long periods of time. My mother was fun, YOLO, YOLO, YOLO. My father was responsibility, do it right now, do it the right way, everything, this, that, and third, this is my dad. My dad was a disciplinarian. And I think what happened is I received the blessings from both of them because I am absolutely YOLO sometimes, but I
Mhm.
get all my responsibilities taken care of before YOLO happens. So, I mean, growing up in the Bronx was fun. If you grew up in the Bronx in my period of time, you did something musical, hip hop. You danced, you drew graffiti, you DJ'd, you beatboxed, you MC'd. I kind of did all of them, which kind of started me on my path without knowing to what I would be doing for the rest of my life.
Wow. So I see you played some basketball, man.
Play a little basketball, play a little football, ran a lot of track. I
Mhm.
actually got a partial scholarship to University of Maryland College Park to run track. Beginning of my sophomore year, I tore my hamstring, which was very painful and disappointing, which led me to I didn't like how it felt after rehab. I didn't feel I was going to be as explosive. So I started focusing on my studies more, which led me to getting an internship at a radio station, and here we are.
When you got that internship, what did you want to do in radio at that time?
Well, when I first got the internship, I was a double major. I was an accounting major and a social psychology major. The internship was actually in the research department of the radio station because you need a research background for social psychology. My social psychology was built around I wanted to, work with kids, I wanted to do something with kids. I like kids.
Mhm.
And then so I got there, and one day they sent me to the studio to get some paperwork from the on-air personality who was also the music director. His name was Albie D. And I walked in, and he said, "Hold on for a second." And then Albie did a break, and he was like, and he was like, "WPGC," and I was like, and I was like, well, I'm from research, and I came to get this, that, and the third, but how much do people get paid to do this? And he was like, well, you can make anywhere from like 40, 50,000 to 5 million. He was like, just that and the other. And I was like, for me, poor kid from the Bronx, 50,000 was solid.
Yeah,
That's
that's real
solid.
money, man.
It's a solid living. You know what I'm saying? I was like, bet. I was like, that's all I got to do is talk. Oh, you about to do this. You about to show me this. So I went back to research, and I kept bugging him for about a week. And he was so gracious to let me switch out of research and become his intern. And then after that, I was a sponge, and I soaked up everything that I can. And right after that, I just kept pressing and pushing and pressing and pushing. I was in the right place at the right time with the right set of abilities lots of times, and it's kind of worked out.
What transitioned you from, because you did the radio thing, you started interning, you did the radio thing, but then you transitioned to this massive television personality. How did that happen?
So it was about 3 years in the radio. BET was still in DC at the time. And I literally got a phone call from somebody like, hey, we need a younger voice for some of these promos, because they had, this guy, BET guy voice.
Right.
But then they had Rap City, and they had Teen Summit, and they had some of these other shows where they wanted a younger voice, literally, to just say, hey, Teen Summit's being brought to you by Snickers, hungry, why wait? So that was my segue into the building. And then once, like I was down there for a little while and got pretty solid at that, I started asking, hey, if you need me in front of the camera, I'm kind of available. Hey, if you need me to do this, that, and the third, I'm here for you. Hey, if you need, I just kept, it's kind of how I got my job in radio too, as an intern. I just kept pushing
Mm-hmm.
people, hey, if you need me to do something, I'm available to do it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I used kind of the same blueprint that I did in radio, from being an intern to getting on air down at BET. And literally one day they say, hey, we're going to try out this new segment called Hip Hop News. It was 30 seconds. It might have been 60 seconds, one day a week. But damn it, it was on BET. Damn it, it was on Rap City. And you could tell me nothing. So.
And that was back when BET was like BET.
Correct.
Like BET, that was the place. If you were black, every black person I knew watched BET. Now it's tough, right? But every black person I knew back then watched BET. You did this whole, you just kind of glad to be here thing, and you had the spirit of a rookie, right? That was your spirit. And something I've noticed, Tig, man, that a lot of the generation coming up now, somehow that gets lost somewhere. Like what you did is
Mhm.
lost on a lot of our young workers today.
I mean, one of the things that's never been lost on me, which I directly attribute to my father, is my hustle. My father was a hustler. I had my first like job at 13 because we got a certain amount of money for back to school, and if you wanted to refresh it, you better get on out and get some money to put on top of it. But I mean, like I have lots of stories, that I tell when I go speak to young people, particularly in radio, TV, film, et cetera, et cetera. Like one of my favorite stories was I was doing overnights, which was 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. No, I'm sorry, excuse me, which was 2 a.m. to 6 p.m. throughout the week. But at our particular station on Sunday, it started at midnight. So we would start at midnight, from midnight to 6 a.m. I was still in college at the time. I was a junior. I got offered a job in Baltimore, which was 30 minutes north of DC. So I didn't know how I was going to do this. The job was Saturday, 7 to midnight, and Sunday, 7 to midnight. Everybody knew damn well I had to be on the air at 12 in DC. And I think they were trying to get me to choose. And I was like, I'll take the job and figure it out later. What I ended up doing is it was a gentleman who was also an artist named Doug Lazy. Doug Lazy was on before me until 12. I used to pay Doug Lazy lunch every week to stay the 30 minutes it would take me to get off the air from Baltimore and drive to DC from station to station. So literally, I was on from 7 p.m. on Sunday night to 12. I would drive 30 minutes, and I was on 12:30 to 6 a.m. right before Donnie Simpson, and then I had a 9 o'clock class. Needless to say, I had like a 1.4 that semester. I had my grade point average was out, but I kind of really felt I was doing what I really wanted to do or what I needed to do. So I didn't give up on school, but all my energy was folding into that radio station, both of those radio stations. But I tell that story to tell people, where there's a will is a way. And there's no reason that you can't do more than what they say you can do. You just got to make it work for you, as long as you don't compromise yourself or compromise the quality.
You and I joke sometimes in the office, man, because while everyone listening right now, they'll say, man, that was a crazy work schedule. Tigger still has that kind of work schedule now, right? Between radio, the television gigs, the DJ gigs, the Hawks, and everything else you do in between that, right? Professionally, personally, because you want to make a contribution of your time to an organization. That never left you. Why?
Again, I have to go back to my dad. That was he kind of like wired that into me. Another story I love to tell about, the growing up of Tigger is, I remember getting evicted in college. It wasn't really my fault, but I can't say that I wasn't one of the brokest college students. And it sucked. And I kind of was like, I don't ever want to go back to this again. And I've also had great role models and mentors along the way. And I've seen it happen more than once, even in some ways to myself. The moment you get comfortable is the moment where you start to lose stuff. It's like you could be like, I'm killing them. I feel good about it, which is great. You should give yourself your own kudos, pat yourself on the back. But the minute you start to rest on your laurels, or you think I'm cool, that's when something happens. It could be small, it could be big, but I've literally had career decisions made for me when I thought I was at my height of the situation. So I always encourage people, never, it's okay for a second to go, but then, all right, now I got here. What's up? Where I'm going next? What's next? Where's the next level up? How do I get better? I mean, how do I get bigger? I mean, where do I go from here? And I just always kept that hunger. And I like nice things, Rashad, and usually working gets you some of these nice things.
Working and getting paid gets you nice things. That is a cause and effect relationship, right?
Absolutely.
All right, let's talk about branding, because branding is one of the most underrated qualities of a personal life, right? you don't have to care about branding only if you are on television or if you're on radio. You have to care about branding if you are a 9-to-5 worker, if you are in between jobs. Hell, I would say you need to care more about branding when you're unemployed than when you are employed, because it's how people perceive who you are. Where did the name Big Tigger come from, and what's your secret to branding yourself to a lot of different audiences?
Tigger started out as just Tigger. It started in college at University of Maryland. A young lady we affectionately referred to as grandma. She was an upperclassman. She used to watch out for all us freshmen. One day in the Black Student Union leans over and says, "You look like Tigger when you smile." And lots of people overheard her, and I started laughing, and I denied it for a while, but then everybody just started calling me Tigger.
But it was true, Tig.
And then when I first got my first opportunity to be on radio, they were like, "What are you gonna call yourself?" I was like, "Everybody calls me Tigger." So that's how that started. The big came at one point. I was doing radio. I was also doing Rap City, and I was writing a monthly article in Blaze magazine, which is now no longer a magazine. And somebody said, "Tig, you doing it big. That's big, big. They need to call you Big Tigger." Kind of stuck then. So that's how Big got introduced to it. And then later on, as I grew as an individual and as a person, I started to, I started to put my real name and Big Tigger in the middle, just because you have to, again, the branding part of it. I mean, you have to be concerned about, does that reflect well as you age? I was like, is that going to be, does that make me seem juvenile? Things of that nature. So in some instances, I use my government name with the Big Tigger in the middle. And other times,
Big Tigger Morgan.
Yeah, that name. And then most of the time, it's just Big Tig or Big Tigger because people are so used to it. And luckily, the brand equity that I built over the last 26 years is still pretty good. So I've been running with it. I'm amazed that we made it this far, but listen, if y'all like it, I love it.
Man, your brand equity is so versatile. I don't think people understand this. So aside from, you've won every award known to man. So aside from all of that, your brand equity allows you to have just as much credibility in urban communities, white communities, brown communities. Your brand equity has allowed you to do campaigns for the federal government, for the American government. Like, you've been able to do all of this with your brand, right? If you had advice to some young person who's trying to figure out life and they want to do radio, they want to do television, what would you tell them? What lesson did you learn back then that you wish you would have learned much earlier that you can share?
I can't say that I kind of believe in, like, lots of the lessons I learned at certain periods in life, and I believe that they were introduced to me at those periods for a particular purpose. Very early on in my career, Donnie Simpson taught me one of the things I hold near and dear to my heart, which was know your worth. And that was more than just putting a price tag on who you are as an individual. It's also properly assessing your leverage in any particular situation. I was going through a contract dispute, like one of my first ever. And I was like, I think I deserve more money, Don. And he was like, well, let's talk about it. He was like, and he was like, what I get. And what he taught me was knowing my worth, which I've applied every step of the way. Another lesson I learned from just being in the business is all money ain't good money.
Go deeper into that, Tig, if you would. All money, we hear that a lot. All money ain't good money. But go a little deeper for me, man.
I mean, being a person of stature, somebody in the public eye, I've been offered opportunities to promote stuff, do stuff that didn't necessarily align with the brand. While the money might have been awesome, I didn't want to necessarily promote a malt liquor, for example.
Right.
While, this and that, there's been lots of things that I just didn't think fit with my brand. And my bank account sometimes was like, what the hell are you doing? But at the same time, it's really hard sometimes to stick to your guns in that regard, knowing that this just doesn't fit the brand, or people are going to see the this disingenuousness of that. I might have just made up a word.
We know what you meant though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of that situation where, oh, he just got the check. And I didn't never really want to be perceived that way. Even if that was the case, I wanted it to seem authentic. So, I mean, like that part is really like there'll be opportunities for lots of people in lots of different lights. Is it the right for you? Is it the right for your brand? Is it the right for your path? Will it help you get you closer to your goals? Or will it help you get further from your goals? It might pay the bills, which is important, but you have to try to balance all of that out. Hopefully you're in a position, which is what you always want to be, in a position to make choices. When you don't have a choice, the game is kind of messed up. But if at least you're in a position to make choices, you can say yes and no, that you're always in a better position.
That's well said, man. We have a few questions from our dean, Dr. Jackson, and he has 3 questions in all. All right.
Come on.
So I'll spit them to you. So Dr. Jackson wants to know, what is the end game legacy for your life? I know, leave it up to him to get.
That's a really dean-worthy
I know,
question.
a cerebral question, right?
Wait a minute, one more time. Let me get this
All
right.
right, what is the end game legacy for your life? What do you want to be known as?
I think I want to be known as a kind, caring, respectable Black man who did what he could to put a smile on other people's faces. I mean, I say it a lot. Like, I'm here for the fun, you know. I that fun part of me is just I literally have friends and people I've never known. I can put a smile. It's got to be dramatic for me not to be able to put a smile on your face. So I learned early in the game that being on the radio, I could say something or do something which could change the trajectory of someone's day. They could be having a horrible day, and I could have said something that either shed some light on something or just made them smile and changed the whole trajectory of their day. And I'm really proud of that part. Just being able to interact with people and be a part of the fabric of someone's life. So that's kind of like the kind, caring, fun-loving person who, just went out here and made people enjoy themselves.
Yeah, well, people know you as that. And Tig, when we do live remotes, man, the line that lines up, the people that line up, you come a distant second to the people that line up to see me.
I know.
But the people, they're so connected to you, man. And you take your time with everybody. And I've seen you do this for years. And I remember the first time I saw you do it, right? This was probably 6 years ago, maybe 7 years ago. And I remember saying to myself, this was before anyone knew who I was. I was brand new to broadcasting, and I'm coming from the political world. I was the director of the Democratic Party transitioning into broadcasting. And I remember seeing that visual of you hugging everybody, taking time with children, taking every single picture, taking multiple pictures if they didn't like that picture, and not complaining about any of it. And I took a mental note, and I said, man, if Big Tigger can do that, I can do that for the rest of my life. And to this day, when I have those opportunities now, I always think of how gracious you were with your time. And I'm always gracious with my time because you gave me my first example. And I'm glad you were the person, because man, a whole lot of cats don't do that at all.
Well, Jay Stevens, who was my first program director, another good piece of jewelry he gave me. He used to tell us, you're probably the biggest celebrity most people will ever run into on the radio. And if you leave that person, if that person leaves your encounter with a great feeling, they'll be a fan for life.
For life, yeah.
And having been taught that at age 20 when I first, is that right? Yeah, 20. Yeah, 20. When I first started radio, That was something I held near and dear. Like, and again, like, dealing with people is sometimes challenging. But at the same time, it takes a lot of energy and courage for people sometimes to approach you.
That's right.
So you want to reward that courage with the good. Like, again, there's some people that, I always say, if I die, whenever I die, I expect a parade of pictures for weeks, because I have taken almost every picture that there is to take.
Right.
I want everybody to post
You're gonna
every picture.
social media down, right?
Shut it down for your boy. I'll be good with that.
All right, here's the second question.
Come on.
What do you see the hip hop generation evolving into during the era of social activism and social justice?
Well, it's interesting to say that things go in cycles.
Because it's been here before, hip hop.
This it almost feels like, and it doesn't feel like me growing up, we had the whole pro-Black Africa wave, Public Enemy, with the music reflected it a lot more than the music reflects it now, to be quite honest. But we had a whole litany of artists that, put forth these pro-Black images, from the Jungle Brothers to the Tribe Called Quest. Like, it was this whole pro-Black Pan-Africanism thing that we had black medallions. Everybody started, flat tops with the kinky, everything. So, we were political and socially active to a degree. We used to just try to fight to get African American studies in school. I feel like not necessarily the 20 some odds, but the kids under them are growing up into a reality, the Black Lives Matter thing, where they're growing up living this reality, living the social activism. So it'll be kind of normal for them. It won't even seem abnormal. We kind of went through, everything kind of waves out. For so long, we had, quote unquote, done so well. We wasn't really arguing or complaining about too much. We were like, we done came so far. And so many of us had done so well and now afforded our children and our families different realities than we grew up in. It was, some of us were just disconnected from those realities. But I feel like this next couple generations are growing up in social activism. They know what it is. They know how to do it better than we used to do it. And there's a different kind of social activism now with social media on top of being out in the street. So I think they'll be an active group, and I think they'll do us proud.
We want to go to questions from the audience, and I was going to have everybody do the chat thing, but here's what I'm going to do. If you have a question for Big Tigger, unmute your mic and start talking now.
Who had the best Rap City, the Basement freestyle?
That's funny.
That is a subjective answer. Depends on everyone's going to have a different answer. I have my favorites. Of course, a fan favorite of mine was Cam Counting Money. Lil Wayne, when he put the flag on the mic at the end. Me and Ludacris had 3 epic situations. But I've been in there with Eminem. I've been in there with Jay-Z. I've been in there with LL. One of my favorites that's near and dear to my heart, we call Rap City the Bashment, which was me, Elephant Man, and Buju Banton with Bobby Condas playing that. Like, to this day, when I go to Jamaica, they're like, like, it was the biggest thing in Jamaica for them to see that on such a big platform. But I enjoyed honestly, I really enjoyed just about everybody in the booth and every time I got to be in the booth.
Good question. All right, who's next? Who has a question for Big Tigger?
Hey, I don't have a question, just a compliment. I just wanted to congratulate you on getting the morning show and everything.
Thank you.
Can you hear me? Oh,
yep.
I'm sorry. My name is Michelle. Let's see. I came across what you were doing when you were doing the afternoon show, and everything. And when I would jump in the car, that's when trending topics would come on.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times it was funny. It was good. It's like, okay, this traffic is heavy. So I'll get out Marietta, but I'm laughing. I'm good. And then some days, you know, it was kind of heavy, but I mean, that really got me through. So just congratulations to you and keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you. I've always tried to find a balance between making, you know, again, life is hard enough for everyone. Everyone has their days. Everyone has their own drama. And I used to tell, and I still tell my producers, no matter when I've gone, if we're not having fun, how could our audience be having fun?
Exactly.
So even when I have to deliver sad, heavy news, you know, there's a way to do it without, you know, stacking it on and heaping it on people. And it's about finding a tone and a balance between you and the audience, which is a challenge. And I've been developing now for quite some time. So thank you for listening. I appreciate the fact that I made you smile in traffic, because traffic is, the A is not fun.
No, it's not. And it's not. I'm up in Seattle now, and it's. I don't know which is worse. I guess I got to flip a coin on it, but you know. So, and when you got the morning show, I had to keep listening to my guy Rashad because he's on during my drive time to work. I love you, Tig, but got you, man.
You know, that's
Fine.
funny.
Be that way, Rashad. Be that way.
It is interesting that technically, man, you and I are direct market competitors now.
I mean, but you still listen. The only people listen. First of all, you my brother, and I appreciate
That's
you
right.
all the time. I tell you all the time. I'm like, you the coolest dude I never knew ever. And
Right,
then,
exactly.
but I mean, as far as I'm concerned, you know, my job is first and foremost to educate, inform, and enlighten and entertain. And if I can get those things accomplished in the morning, help you get to work with a bigger smile or a more positive outlook, that I have accomplished my goal.
Well said. And you do that every morning. Who's next? Just unmute your mic, start talking. Speak now, forever hold your peace.
I would like to say something. This is JT Brown. I would like to piggyback off what the young lady just said about Big Tigger. I listen to you every day back in the day from 2 to 6. Enjoyed you very, very much. And I'm 58 years old. You know, Atlanta, V103 is a culture here. You had, if you grew up in Atlanta, you know anything about Atlanta, V103 and WLK you listen to. So when I heard that Frank Ski was leaving, I said the only person that can fill that spot is going to be Big Tigger. Then when I heard the announcement, I told my wife, I said, I told you, he's the only person to fill it. So we enjoy you very much. I'm 58. I enjoy you very much. Dr. Richey, of course, I enjoy you. So with technology now being as it is, I listen to Big Tigger, then I come back and listen to you in the afternoon. So
yeah, you know what? And you can do that. Thank you, brother. Thank you, JT. And what we found, Tig, is that what a lot of people do, because on the radio app, you can actually pause one show, let the other show play, and then come back and play the show that was paused. So technology allows you to do it all, right?
Listen, I am immensely happy with our radio.com app.
Yeah.
It also does, to a certain degree, is allows us to be global without leaving the building. Lots of people, including us, we all want syndication because there's a bigger financial stake in it for us. But at the same time, the exposure to be able to expose, like every morning I see people from like literally from UK, or I see somebody from Africa pop in, or somebody from the islands, or somebody from Houston, like, good morning, Tig. And I'm like, wow, this is amazing just to see people all over the world, you know, tune in for whatever I'm delivering. So that's always a great feeling. And that radio.com app, along with being able to flip back and forth or save me or Rashad for later, put us in your pocket, is a great thing.
You know, let me ask you a question about syndication, man, because I did the syndication thing about 4 years ago, right? And it was tough because each market has its own flavor, its own culture. And then when you're in syndication, especially in talk radio, you got to travel there a lot, right? They want to see you, all right? So you have to constantly go there, and you're on the road, and then you have to figure out how to set up your comrex in the system that they have for you in those cities. So it's a lot of work. But when you look at what the internet has done, when you look at streaming, to me, and man, you can agree or disagree, I want to know your thoughts though, streaming has almost made syndication obsolete. What are your thoughts about that?
To a certain degree, yes and no. Um, this is my own thought on the matter in particular for syndication. I think you're going to actually see more syndication uh, because of this pandemic, more importantly. The technology has made it easier to syndicate. Secondly, financially, lots of companies are struggling, including some of our radio brethren. Um, Atlanta's an anomaly because Atlanta has like 10 black stations, which no other city in America can boast anything even near that. I had said maybe back in 2015, by this time, which I thought we might be down to 3 urban signals in every city. It'll be an upper age demo, it'll be like a middle of the road, and a younger station. They may not be all owned by the same person, but I felt like that was going to be what was, just because of the way the economics of radio was, internet, et cetera, et cetera. But the syndicates, also radio has done a poor job. We have done an absolutely poor job of raising our future underneath us. I was blessed and happy to be among those of that last super wave of people. And even like 3 of my interns are like working in big places, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I just don't see us grooming the future of radio the way we used to. And lots of our future radio stars, whoever they might be, will probably come from other disciplines. Like Steve came from a different discipline. He just happened to be good at doing a morning show. Nick Cannon has a morning show. He's not really from radio. He just happens to be a big star who does radio. But if they decide to leave radio because they can continue doing television or whatever their other endeavors are, that leaves a hole for a lot of people in radio. And if you don't have these people that we're grooming and leveling up and teaching how to be the next wave, we're going to be at we're going to have a shortage at some point. So I encourage young people, listen, don't discount radio. This radio is not just radio anymore. It's multi-genre. You will still do television. You will still do stuff on camera. You will still do other kinds of things. And this pandemic has shown the flexibility of radio and the power of radio at the same time, because we're able to deliver local news centered around the entertainment. If you just streaming, you don't know what the hell is going on.
That's a good point. Yeah, because streaming, you do lose the local quality wherever you're located. Who's next?
I'm next.
Go ahead.
I have a question. Well, I just wanted to kind of piggyback. My name is Stephanie, and just wanted to. I've heard Richey said that he has this show all the time, and I wanted to come on. But I wanted to say thank you because I'm from the islands, and our music is a little bit different. So that's how we kept up with a lot. The show what you were on was recorded, so we never got it live.
Right.
But by the time it got live, anything that you put on and you played was in our clubs. So we had the local vibe, the calypso, the reggae, and everything. But you made it possible that we could compare the music and everything. Just we grew up on that. So I just wanted to thank you. This is my first time. I apologize, Rashad, but I heard he was coming on, and I just
I'm glad you're here.
I'm in here, So I just wanted to really emphasize that to everyone, that your music, I don't know how much you knew, how much you helped us in our culture. So we didn't just have our local cultural music of steel pan and reggae and all of that, but you kept us up with the hip hop. So thank you for that.
Which island are you from?
I'm from St. Thomas, the U.S. Virgin Islands.
I love St. Thomas, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
Beautiful. But
Thank
my
you.
mother is from Jamaica, so
I learned that today. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I said, well, maybe that's why I liked his music. I liked his culture. But thank you so much for that.
No problem. I have been it's been an ever evolving realization of the impact of that show and on the culture. Again, it was on 6 to 7 years where I was hosting, and I left in 2006, 2007. It is 2020, and people are still asking me to bring it back. It's been 14 years since I did that show, and literally every day, either in a comment on social media, in a store, on a phone call. Somebody like, you know, you need to bring Rap City back. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't remember Rap City. It was 14 years ago. Okay.
But it seems like yesterday.
That's listen, I tell people ultimately, and this will piggyback on the Dean's question. If it was all said and done for me tomorrow, I am very cool with the fact of knowing that show that I was a part of was literally the fabric of people's lives and the fabric of hip hop. And still to this day, you know, YouTube has made me, YouTube has helped. Like YouTube, I'm still popping on YouTube. So that show was like it never left. So I'm cool with if it all ended today, knowing the fact that I had that kind of impact on the culture. I'm very proud of.
Tig, you've always kept it real positive, right? I was listening to, I think it was 500 Degrees. You already know where I'm going. All right. So I'm that guy, man. I listen to gangster rap. I listen to all of it. I'm from that place. I'm from Glenwood Road. So I listen, and I still listen to it. I have my suit and tie on. I let my top down, and I bump it, man. So I'm bumping 500 Degrees, right? This is a couple of days ago, and I completely forgot that you're all over the CD. Like you're all over the track in damn near every song. Okay, but you got bars. But you've always had bars. So when Big T comes on and he raps, and it's like, whoa, that's T? That's how you started, though. That's how you started. Tell me the significance of you being versatile enough to be a rapper, to say, hey, this is who I am now, years ago, but you have been able to transform who you are to being a Hawks DJ, the Hawks DJ, radio personality premier, television personality that hosts major shows that impact the culture. What led you to recreate or reimagine what a rapper can do?
I mean, again, it had a lot more to do with my upbringing. You know, even my father used to get mad at me because I had so many different interests. I played 2 or 3 sports, but I also DJ. But I also did this, and I also did that, and I also I used to break dance. I used to
break dance.
I was nice.
Do we have that on YouTube? Is that on YouTube somewhere?
We definitely do not. But I mean, and you know, I've been lucky enough to be able to diversify the things that, you know, be good at a bunch of different things. But there is definitely some truth to, if you're okay at a bunch of things, you're not great at anything. So I really focused in on radio and TV, which kind of was in the same stream for me, rather than doing other things. And then even as an artist, when I had a very popular song with a very unpopular artist at this point, you know, everybody expected for me to drop an album, but I really realized that it was about the music business. So having known so many people and heard the horror stories, I was a little bit ahead of the curve, and I knew my worth, and I had a different kind of leverage. I never kind of got the deal that I wanted, and I wasn't just going to cave just to do it. So that's why we never got a Tigger album. But I was very cool with, I've done about maybe 5 or 6 really good songs with 5 or 6 really big artists. I've been featured on a variety of albums, just as, you know, skits, et cetera, et cetera. And I mean, like you can see, there are plaques back here that I either contributed to in one way or another, or I was on them. So I don't really have too many regrets. If it happened when it happened, I was appreciative and I maximized it. And if it didn't happen, I felt like it wasn't for me, and I either reapplied myself and came harder, or it just wasn't for me at the time, and I just went, you know, I kept grinding at what I was doing. But it's just been I've been lucky, you know. I have to give my parents some credit, and just I pay attention to details a lot. So, you know, that and just being in tune with the public helps you stay relevant and tuned in.
Who we got next?
What y'all want to know? What y'all want to know?
It's
Ain't
scared,
all these
T.
people in here, they don't want nobody
I know they
I
scared.
got one. So my question is, how have you dealt with the power structure in Atlanta? You are not from here. Atlanta is a very unique place. How have you dealt with that, and how has it treated you?
That is an awesome question.
Yeah, great question.
So I literally had a conversation with our current mayor, Keisha Lance Bottoms. One day she was visiting in the studio, and Falana was in there. And it was not long after she got elected. And I said, hey, so can we talk about this new Atlanta, old Atlanta thing that's happening? I am not a Grady baby. I am a transplant, but at this point, there are just as many transplant as there are Grady babies in Atlanta. And I said, yeah, there's a thing where, and it's all centered around power, and I get it. There's a thing where the original AT aliens sometimes are really hard in relinquishing any power or sharing power with the new people. And I told the mayor, I said, listen, if you, I think I have a lot to offer your office in the city, but there are some gatekeepers. And her assistant immediately was like, he's right. So when I first got here to Atlanta 7 years ago, I had a checklist of things I wanted to do, having been in multiple cities in my career. I was like, I need to meet the mayor, know the mayor, get the mayor's number. Kasim Reed was the mayor at the time. I met him. He was like, Tig, got his number. We were able to chat just, hey, mayor, what's good? I said I was a Washington Wizards DJ for the NBA in DC, where I was like, I have to take over the Hawks. I don't know if they have a DJ. I'm coming for the job. I was able to do that about 7 months in. Then I set myself to, expanding myself civically. I became a member of the 100 Black Men of Atlanta. I'm also on the board of directors for Hosea Feed the Hungry. So I felt like I was getting, my hands dirty, so if you were in the community, so to speak. So one of the other things I knew not to do was to act more Atlanta than I was, because that's easily recognizable and people just, they see through it. But I would say, as far as the power structure, I took my shots where I could. I didn't force it. And as anybody here should know, relationships make the world go round. Sometimes it was a segue. Hey, somebody introduced me. Sometimes it was, I need to just be in the right place at the right time. But I'm comfortable with my place now. There's always room for growth, which is my viewpoint for everything that I do. There's always room to make it better. So I think that's where I am. I think I would have ran for office at some point, but they would have dug up too much dirt, and then but apparently
obviously dirt doesn't matter anymore.
Facts.
Right.
It does for Black people.
Exactly right. For Black people, it still counts. Okay. Man, listen, one of the greatest things I've gotten from this conversation is that in order to be successful like you are successful, it takes heart. It takes heart. Everything that you described that made a difference for you came from inside of you. Now, it was placed inside of you by your parents and certain mentors you've had along the way, but it really has come from inside of you. And you've been able to live a remarkable life and touch a lot of people in the process. And your star continues to shine brighter and brighter every day. We're almost to the end. Tig, I got just a couple of gut check questions.
Come on.
Real quick questions, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Favorite movie?
Oh, God, that's tough. Purple Rain.
favorite song?
That's tougher. Favorite song of all time? Ooh, Jesus. Favorite song of all time. Oh man, why would you do that to me?
I know. And you're an artist, so it's always even more important.
God, of all time. Lovely Day.
Lovely Day. Okay.
Bill Withers, yes.
I didn't see that one coming, but okay.
I listen, that you got to think about the lyrics in that song. Just one look at you, and the world is all right with. I need that.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
One look like I was having a bad day. All I did was look at you. I'm good.
Yeah, you're really in love when that happens, for
Oh,
sure.
my God.
Right. All right. Favorite hero? Who's your hero?
My favorite hero is my dad.
All right.
You know, my dad wasn't an extraordinary guy. He used to drive. He was a motorman for the New York City Transit. He drove the trains. But he worked really hard. He worked really, really hard to make sure that our experiences extended further than our neighborhood. He made sure, my father was always, he was like, I'm going to make you street smart and you have to be book smart in my house. It wasn't even a question of that. He taught me responsibility. He taught me hustle. And there were lots of things that I thought I knew as a teenager that I apologized to my father when I finally figured them out. He wasn't, you know, everybody has their own flaws. But at the same time, I am eternally grateful for all the things that he instilled in me. And I am the man I am today because of him.
What's your biggest regret?
I don't really have too many of those. Biggest regret. I really don't have too many regret. Biggest regret. I don't have one right now. And I don't look forward to having any of them. Again, things that happened badly, I chalked up to either experience or I learned from them and moved on. I really don't have like, oh, I should have. I've been immensely blessed along my path as a person and in my career. And again, could it be bigger and better? Yeah. I can't say I have any regrets at all. I just, you know, if there was anything I would have, even though I got straight A's is in school, in high school, I used to get F's in conduct. Can you tell?
I can see that.
If anything, I might have applied myself even harder in school. School came kind of easy to me, which means it is why I used to finish my work and bother everybody. So I think I would have applied myself harder in college, and in high school, but at the same time, I think I ended up where I was supposed to be. So no, I don't really have any regrets.
Biggest success?
Excuse me. Big success. Being able to walk in anywhere and be respected.
Wow.
I mean, I joke that I have one of the greatest hood passes in America. I can basically pull up on any block and I'll be okay. And at the same time, I don't feel like anybody, the majority, you know, there's always some people who disagree, don't like, whatever, haters, et cetera, but I don't feel like anybody, you got to respect it. That's how I feel about it. Like there's nothing, I haven't really done anything where you be like, you could lose respect for me either personally or professionally, like, oh, I lost respect for that dude. So being able to walk in just about any kind of room and be respected for what I do and what I bring as a person, as an individual, and as a talent, that's my biggest success.
Tremendous. Man, we're at the end of the discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, BHU University, a premier leadership college. You have so many remarkable people who work in the industry that they teach. That's one of the dynamic approaches to BHU University, is the fact that everyone is a scholar practitioner. I've been able to teach and lecture at multiple institutions. BHU University is near and dear to my heart because of the student-centered approach. I thank every single one of you for joining me. Thank you to our president at BHU, Dr. Benson Karanja, to our dean, Dr. Rodney Jackson, to our VP who's with us, Peter Karanja, and to every single one of you. You all make this what it is. To the community leaders, to all of the students, and especially to the big homie, Big Tigger. Thank you, brother, for your time.
Thanks for having me. I wish you all well in whatever you're studying and whatever you aspire to be. I mean, just go get it. Who told you can't have it? You better believe it and go get it. That's really that simple.
Thank you, bro.
Already.